Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So I did a video the other day talking about the the FBI opening or reopening the investigation of Hillary Clinton. And reopening is probably not accurate. It was one thing where the agents themselves were looking into the investigation, but the agents themselves were kind of being slowed down, particularly during the election campaign. The article in the Washington Post said they are resuming looking into the Clinton Foundation. I've said from the beginning that the email server thing, yeah, she may be guilty of the email server thing in regards to putting classified information on her system. But the thing that they should have been looking at, and the thing that was, I would say, probably more of a bombshell, or at the very least, I can't say slam dunk is too strong, but had a very clear overture of pay for play, at the very least the stink of pay for play, were on the emails, WikiLeaks, the documents that were released. This thing of the Clinton Foundation, the information about the Clinton Foundation in the WikiLeaks emails looks damning. It looks immensely damning. They kept puttering around with the emails, and the entire time I kept thinking to myself, if you guys are honestly trying to make a case against Hillary Clinton, the thing that you need to look at is WikiLeaks. I mean, the stuff that they were saying back and forth was so over the top corruption. I mean, there's one case where they're saying somebody needs to shut Chelsea Clinton up because she's asking too many questions. It's as if Chelsea Clinton wasn't in on it. It was like, wait a minute, it looks like we're taking money and this looks grossly uncomfortable, like, unethical. We're working in the goddamn State Department. So this is an article that goes through the issues. I usually don't use the Washington Times, but in this case, each of these things are pretty much known to the public, so it's not like they're breaking the story. This is the information from the emails. So the Clinton top 10 pay-to-play scandals. Any quid pro quo is notoriously hard to prove. There are top 10 coincidences, quote-unquote coincidences, the market public is supposed to believe were donors giving out money with no expectation of anything in return. The charge that I make, the charge that others make who talk about this, is that as you were in the State Department, it seems like you would get money from organizations or countries going into the Clinton Foundation. And in getting that money, you would either get access to Hillary Clinton as working in the capacity of the State Department, or some kind of favor. Or Bill Clinton, for that matter. I mean, Bill Clinton may go on her steed. But the point I'm making is, money is coming through a corporation or this private enterprise, the Clinton Foundation, and favors coming out of the government itself, the state apparatus. Those things should have nothing to do with one another. What people give, like somebody giving a huge amount of money to the Clinton Foundation, in no way should make the government complicit in the giving favors. But because the person who is working in the capacity of the state of Secretary of State, she's working in the capacity of the government, while at the same token directly connected to this entity that bears her last name, you can see that getting money through one end allowed access and favors through the other end. But the fact that this is a state apparatus, this should have nothing to do with the private enterprise. And if those things are connected, even though those things are not supposed to be connected, that is by definition corruption. Money's given to a private enterprise. Favor comes out through the levers of state. Even if that's access, that is a problem. Even if that's access, it's a massive problem. People scream about Donald Trump monetizing the presidency. None of them say anything about Hillary Clinton monetizing the State Department. It's like, come on, be honest. Clinton ally aided wife of FBI agent who was investigating Mrs. Clinton email server. The political organization of Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe gave nearly $500,000 to the 2015 election campaign of the wife of an official at the FBI who helped oversee the investigation into Mrs. Clinton's email server. The Wall Street Journal reported on Monday. All in all, aid directly under Mrs. McAuliffe control or directly influenced by him donated more than a third of all the campaign funds the FBI official's wife fundraised, the Journal said. Let me read that again. The political organization of Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe gave nearly $500,000 to the 2015 election campaign of the wife of an official at the FBI who helped oversee the investigation into Mrs. Clinton's email server. the Wall Street Journal reported on Monday. All in all, aide directly under Mr. McAuliffe's control or directly influenced by him donated more than 1/3 of all campaign funds to the FBI official's wife fundraiser, the Journal said. What they're saying is, one of the agents who was working on the FBI case looking into the Clinton email server, his wife is in politics. Terry McAuliffe has a direct link to the Clintons themselves. Terry McAuliffe gave massive amounts of cash, apparently 1/3 of the cash that the FBI candidate wife needed to run. Now the question becomes, well, wait a minute, you just got all of this money, or your wife got a massive amount of cash. 1/3 of the cash that your wife raised came from Democrats affiliated with the Clintons. Would that in any way give you a certain tenor and a certain disposition as you're pursuing the case against that same Hillary Clinton? Any average person would look at that and say, well, yeah, if your wife is getting paid by elements that are associated with the person you're investigating, you should probably recuse yourself from the investigation. I mean, it's amazing that this was allowed, but it was allowed. It was allowed. When people raise questions about whether or not there was an actual investigation that took place with the email servers because of shit like this, it seemed like it was a biased investigation. Seems like it wasn't an investigation at all. Let's keep going. King of Morocco agreed to donate $12 million to the Clinton Foundation and host a Clinton Global Initiative Summit only if Mrs. Clinton attended a 2015 meeting. I will give you $12 million, but it's predicated on you, Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, meeting us, coming to our summit. But you're giving money to the Clinton Foundation. But you're asking me, Hillary Clinton, to appear. I'm Secretary of State. Why do you expect me, as Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, to do anything for you, but just because you're giving money to the Clinton Foundation, unless those things are related to one another? Meaning the fact that you're getting money through one end, people understand that there are going to be certain favors associated with you functioning on the other end. They're not giving to the Clinton Foundation because they're good for itself. There are plenty of charities that these people can give to. They're given to this for specific reasons. They understand that if we're giving to an organization, that the person who's bears the name of that organization and who is still influential and works with that organization is working in the capacity of the State Department of the United States government, that carrying favor with her by giving it through the organization allows a certain access to the same person as Secretary of State. Certainly, I'm not the only one who sees the problem with this. I mean, this looks immensely bad. No matter what happens, she will be in Morocco hosting CGI on May 5th through 7th, 2015. Huma Abedin, a top Hillary Clinton aide, wrote on the November 2014 email, wrote to several other advisors, including campaign chairman John Podesta, which was released by WikiLeaks. Her presence was a condition for Moroccans to proceed, so there is no going back on this. In January 2015, Abedin followed up with another email explaining in more detail why the future Democratic nominee couldn't simply back out of this event in Morocco. Just to give you some context, the condition upon which the Moroccans agreed to host the meeting was her participation. If Hillary Rodham Clinton was not part of it, the meeting was a non-starter. CGI also wasn't pushing for a meeting in Morocco, and it wasn't her first choice. This was Hillary Clinton's idea. Our office approached the Moroccans, and they 100% believed they all doing this at her request. The king has personally committed approximately $12 million both for the endowment and to the support of the meeting. It would break a lot of China to back out of this now when we have so many opportunities to do it in the past few months. Mrs. Clinton ultimately convinced by her team the optics of the meeting wouldn't look good so close to her presidential launch, so it was canceled. But understand, it might have been canceled, but the entire pretext of the meeting was, I will give you $12 million if you show up. And mind you, she's Secretary of State. It looks bad. Bill Clinton gets $1 million birthday present from Qatar for 5-minute meeting requests. Qatar would like to see William Jefferson Clinton for 5 minutes in New York to present $1 million check that Qatar promised for his birthday in 2011. An employee of the Clinton Foundation said to numerous aides, including Doug Brand, according to an email released by WikiLeaks. Qatar will welcome our suggestions for investment in Haiti, particularly on education and health. They have allocated most of the $20 million, but are happy to consider projects we suggest. I'm collecting input from CF's Haiti team, Clinton Foundation's Haiti team. They're giving him $1 million. That's amazing. It's amazing. They're just giving him $1 million check for Oh, that's amazing. Here's $1 million. We're just giving it to you because you're a good guy, Bill Clinton. We just need a 5-minute meeting. That's all. Now, again, the question becomes, why are they giving Bill Clinton $1 million? And do you believe that they're giving Bill Clinton $1 million just because, hey, we just need your input? Or do you believe they're giving Bill Clinton that $1 million because they want some level of access from his wife? And they understand that the Clinton Foundation is the way to which to get that access. Say Qatar gives us $1 million. Say later on Qatar wanted a meeting for some issue that they are dealing with or interacting with the United States about. Do you believe that Hillary Clinton is going to take that meeting? Now, suppose for the moment that Qatar didn't give all that money. Do you believe that she's more motivated to take that meeting when they give the money or when they don't give the money? And of course, that answer is, well, yeah, of course. If they're giving the money, she's going to be more inclined to take the meeting because she wants to continue to get the money for the foundation. Just saying, this looks bad. We're supposed to believe that these people have this superhuman level of integrity, and this money is in no way affecting their opinions as she functions in the State Department. I would say that that is comically ridiculous. If you're getting paid that huge amounts of cash, will it affect your disposition when you're dealing with matters of the countries that are giving you the huge amounts of cash? Let's keep going. Friends of Bill rewarded at State Department after 2010 Haiti earthquake. The State Department gave special attention to Bill Clinton's friends after the Haiti earthquake. While Mrs. Clinton's State Department sent on emails from friends of Bill to senior officials coordinating the United States response to Haiti's earthquake, offers aid from people that did not have connections to the Clintons were cast aside. And I remember this one. So Haiti is damaged, it's demolished, and the question becomes, the Clinton Foundation is going to come in and we're going to help them out. The problem is, friends of Bill Clinton, people who's given to the Clinton Foundation, were the ones who were essentially given the contracts and given, let's say, put in positions that they were allowed to get large amounts of cash. Friends of Bill. What does being friends of Bill have anything to do with doing the best thing for Haiti? Meaning, is it possible that there were going to be groups in Haiti or groups outside of Haiti that would have been the best case scenario, that might have been the best price, that might have did the better work, that weren't friends of Bill Clinton? It looks extraordinarily problematic, extremely problematic, that they're saying we're going to help after this hurricane relief. And the people who were given the contracts were essentially people who were friends of the Clintons. Let's keep going. Had nothing to do with what was best for Haiti, has everything to do with who gave the Clintons cash. Crown Prince of Bahrain, a good friend of the Clinton Foundation, sought special access to Hillary Clinton. As June 23, 2009, email exposed by Judicial Watch from Doug Band to Mrs. Abbott noted that the Crown Prince of Bahrain, a good friend of ours, was asking to see Mrs. Clinton. The Crown Prince had contributed between $50,000 and $100,000 to the Clinton Foundation and spent $32 million on a scholarship fund launched through CGI, Clinton Global Initiative. Mrs. Abbott responded that the princess sought a meeting through normal channels but had been turned down. Less than 48 hours after Mrs. Band had asked her, Mrs. Abbott said, "We have reached out through official channels and the meeting would commence." Crown Prince of Bahrain wants a meeting. The Crown Prince of Bahrain goes through normal official channels and he's turned down for that meeting for Mrs. Clinton. The Crown Prince of Bahrain sends an email. Through the email chain, it is being discussed that, look, this guy's a good friend of ours. This guy's donated $32 million to scholarship fund and $100,000 to the Clinton Foundation. 48 hours later, the meeting is approved. In normal channels, the meeting is not. You send an email, and you get across that this guy gave a bunch of money to the Clinton Foundation, and magically, this meeting commences. My question here is, if the Clinton Foundation had nothing to do with the State Department, why did he get a meeting after it was turned down through normal channels? Why? That seems weird to me. It seems as if the money that was getting to the Clinton Foundation, either through the $50,000 or $100,000 that went to the Clinton Foundation, or the $32 million that went to the scholarship, it seems that that was to some degree influencing the decision on whether or not Hillary Clinton would meet the Crown Prince. What does the Clinton Foundation have to do with matters of state? And should we have a system where somebody, one state, is able to pay into some kind of private enterprise, and because the person who's in the State Department is affiliated with that private enterprise, that person decides to meet, meaning that money in a private enterprise had influence through our governmental apparatus? That is the definition of corruption. That is literally the definition of corruption. Literally the definition of corruption is too strong. I want to hear somebody defend that. That seems extraordinarily corrupt to me. We're not even finished. Hillary Clinton's State Department gave Clinton Foundation donors weapons deal. Under Clinton's leadership, the State Department approved $165 billion worth of commercial arms sales to 20 nations whose governments have given money to the Clinton Foundation, according to an International Business Times analysis of the State Department and Foundation data, reports International Business Times. That figure, derived from the full fiscal value of American arms sales, made those countries and approved the State Department during the same period as President George Bush's second term. Let me read that again, just so I'm understanding it. Under Clinton's leadership, the State Department approved $165 billion worth of commercial arms sales to 20 nations whose governments have given money to the Clinton Foundation, according to an International Business Times analysis of the State Department and Foundation data. That figure, derived from the 3 full fiscal years of Clinton's term as Secretary of State, represented nearly double the value of American arms sales made to those countries as approved through the State Department under the same period of the Bush's second term. So Hillary Clinton is in the State Department. In her capacity of the State Department, there were countries, 20 of which, who gave money to the Clinton Foundation. Now again, these countries could give that money to anybody they want. They can give it to any charity they want. They have huge amounts of cash, and they decided we want to park that money into the Clinton Foundation. They approved $165 billion with a B dollars of weapon sales to the countries who gave money to the Clinton Foundation. These weapon sales were twice the amount that were approved under George Bush. Now you have to ask the question, is there a link between the countries that are giving money and the free-flowing weapon sales that were available from the State Department under Hillary Clinton? Let's keep going. There's more. Clinton State Department approved the transfer of 20% of uranium to Russian government as Clinton Foundation took $145 million in donation from the investors' deal. According to the New York Times investigation, Mrs. Clinton's State Department was one of the 9 agencies that had to approve the Uranium One deal to the Russian government, which it did. The sale of the Russian control of 1/5 of all uranium production capacity in the United States, the Times reported. According to their analysis, $145 million in donations was given to the Clinton Foundation by uranium executive lobbying for the deal. Mr. Clinton received $500,000 for a Moscow speech from a Russian investment bank with links to the Kremlin that was promoting the Uranium One stock. To add a little bit more context to this, I actually went over the story. The FBI was investigating this, and it seemed as if there were certain elements that were in this kind of Russian thing. There was a lot of crime, corruption. There was people being threatened, all sorts of stuff. The FBI had a mole into this, and what they realized was it seems like they were trying to grease the palms, or get close to the Clintons. Let's say it that way, by greasing their palms. Bill Clinton getting $500,000. Again, it looks extraordinarily sketchy when his wife is sitting on a board that deals or had to make or to approve this particular deal. It looks bad. the argument that they tend to make is, well, wait a minute, there was nothing wrong here, but that wasn't really true. There was all sorts of crime and corruption associated with this deal. The FBI was investigating, saying there was extortion and threats, all sorts of stuff. They were trying to corner the market in regards to the uranium. We approved the deal despite the FBI understanding all of the crimes that were committed in the approving of this deal. And I'm not saying the crimes that were committed by Hillary or Bill, nothing like that. I'm just saying everything that went into cornering the market on uranium like this in order to get 20% of the uranium stores, it wasn't necessarily done above board. It seemed like, giving Bill Clinton $500,000 during the time when this deal was going through, and the $145 million donation given to the Clinton Foundation at around the same time of this deal. Are you telling me that in no way does the donation or the blanket money or the blunt money just given to Bill Clinton, in no way does that have an effect on the decisions of the Secretary of State? You give my wife $500,000. I'm working in some office somewhere doing something, whatever I'm doing. Let's say I work at a restaurant. You give my wife $500,000 and you show up at my restaurant. Am I going to treat you like any and everybody else who comes to my restaurant? Am I going to be a little nicer to you? Am I going to put you in the best seat? Am I going to give you the best drinks? Hell, I may even give you a free meal. But you can understand that giving to my wife in this way does influence me. It does influence me. It would influence anybody. It would be weird for it not to influence people, to have that superhuman level of integrity of, I work in the capacity of the State Department of the United States and I'm going to treat each and every one of you the same. Do we believe that that's what was taking place? Or was it through my example? Thank you for the cash. We're going to put this towards the Clinton Foundation. And when you come into my restaurant, you're going to get the best of everything. You're going to get the sexiest waitress. You're going to get the best towels. You're going to sit in the best seat. You're going to have the best view. All because you gave my wife $500,000 and I want to stay attached to somebody who may be able to give me that much cash again. These people are being bribed. Do not believe the superhuman integrity argument. This has nothing to do with integrity. This has everything to do with politics and corruption. Let's keep going. A for-profit university put Bill Clinton on its payroll and received an increase in funding by Mrs. Clinton's State Department. That's amazing. According to a report by Bloomberg, in 2009, the year before Bill Clinton joined Laureate University, the nonprofit received 11 grants worth $9 million from the State Department for the affiliated USAID. In 2010, the group received 14 grants worth $15.1 million. In 2011, 13 grants adding up to $14.6 million. The following year, those numbers jumped. IYF received 21 grants worth $25 million, including a direct grant from the State Department. After Mrs. Clinton became Secretary of State, Mr. Clinton received $17.6 million in payments from a nonprofit university. CNN totaled. It was not clear what Mr. Clinton did serving as chair for the university. Let's read that again and make sure I understand this. According to a report by Bloomberg, in 2009, the year before Bill Clinton joined Laureate University, the nonprofit received 11 grants worth $9 million from the State Department or the affiliated USAID. In 2010, the group received 14 grants worth $15 million. In 2011, 13 grants, adding up to $14.6 million. The following years, those numbers jumped. IYF received 21 grants worth $25.5 million, including a direct grant from the State Department. After Mrs. Clinton's Secretary of State, Mr. Clinton received $17.6 million in payment from a nonprofit university. CNN totaled. It was not clear what Mr. Clinton did serving as chair of the university. What do you mean it's not clear what Mr. Clinton did? Mr. Clinton, serving as chair of that university, was able to give a lot of money from his wife in the State Department. I can't believe that they're looking at this and think this is okay. What the fuck? Like, this is not something that's hidden. This is not something that's behind the scenes. This is stuff that came out in WikiLeaks. A lot of this came out in WikiLeaks. You can read the emails yourself. As you're looking at this, I mean, come on. Mr. Clinton is put on, for profit university, put Bill Clinton on its payroll and receive an increase in funding by the State Department. Hey, we're going to put Bill Clinton on payroll. We're going to give Bill Clinton some money. And just as if by magic, Bill Clinton is on the payroll. Bill Clinton is getting cash. Bill Clinton is getting paid. And guess what takes place just magically? The university gets a major bump in its funding from the United States State Department. Are we to believe that the money that Bill Clinton got in no way influenced the United States State Department to give these universities more money? And there's more. The Clintons have made... Come on. The Clintons have made at least $26 million in speaking fees for entities who are top Clinton donors. Bill Clinton was paid at least $26 million in speaking fees by companies and organizations that are also major donors to the Clinton Foundation he created after leaving the White House, according to the Washington Post analysis of public records and foundation data. The report added Bill Clinton was paid more than $100 million for speeches between 2001 and 2013, according to the federal financial disclosure forms filed by Hillary Clinton during her years as Senator and Secretary of State. Again, this is somewhat problematic. Bill Clinton is married to Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is functioning as a senator, and later on she's functioning as Secretary of State. His wife is functioning as a lever of the government. She's part of the government. She's Secretary of State, or she's a senator, both powerful positions in the United States government. Bill Clinton, on the other hand, however, is out there roaming around the globe getting $100 million for speeches. Those are some amazing fucking speeches. That's the first point. And the second point is any way of Bill Clinton giving a speech. Here's $500,000. Here's $1 million. Hey, thank you for the speech. We just need a speech. Hey, here's $100,000. Here's $1 million or $5 million. We just want 5 minutes of your time. Is the money coming in from Bill Clinton affecting his wife? Meaning, if his state gives a large amount of cash to Bill Clinton, is Hillary Clinton more apt to have a conversation with that particular state if that particular state comes calling? Let's keep going. There's more. Clinton Foundation cashed in a Sweden-lobbied Clinton State Department on Iranian sanctions. Clinton Foundation cashed in a Sweden-lobbied Clinton State Department on Iranian sanctions. Bill Clinton's foundation set up as a fundraising arm in Sweden that collected $26 million in donations. At the same time, that country was lobbying Hillary Clinton's State Department to forego sanctions that threaten its thriving business with Iran, according to a report by Washington Times. The Swedish entity, called the William Jefferson Clinton Islamic Stift else. What? Islamic. Okay, I don't know what that word was. Never disclosed or cleared by the State Department ethics official, even though one of the largest sources of donations was a Swedish government-sanctioned lobby. The Clinton Foundation cashed in as Sweden lobbied the State Department on Iranian sanctions. I'm reading this again, sorry. This was a little confusing to me. Bill Clinton Foundation set up a fundraising arm in Sweden that collected $26 million in donations at the same time the country was lobbying the State Department to forego sanctions that was threatening its thriving business with Iran. Oh, I see what's going on. There's a Clinton Foundation in Sweden. That foundation or that group or government or somebody who was giving to that particular arm of the Clinton Foundation was lobbying the State Department at the same time it was giving money to the Clinton Foundation with this idea of, look, we don't want sanctions on Iran. They were trying to stop the sanctions with Iran. Now, this is, again, somewhat problematic, conflict of interest. I'm giving you money on this end, and I'm asking for favors on the other end. Come on, this is problematic. This is immensely problematic. I'm pretty sure there's more, but this only goes to the first 10, and that's the only ones I'm going through. I will put this link at the bottom so people can see it. The point I'm trying to make here is the reason why I've been screaming about the Clinton Foundation and saying, this idea of corruption, if you're looking for corruption, you're looking for it in the emails. They're spending so much time with this idea of the server. You may get charges with Hillary Clinton on the server, but I strongly suspect that your strongest case is going to come through the emails themselves. My issue is corruption. I don't like corruption in our government. I don't like this pay-for-play shit. But I don't believe that Hillary Clinton is any more corrupt than anybody else who would have been put in the same position. Meaning this is somewhat systemic. Yes, she might have taken it to a fine art form. But this is systemic. This is something that we need to weed out of our government. We need to stop pretending as if these people have integrity when looking at how they vote and looking at where the vote goes and where the money goes, where the resources go. The biases that are built into the political apparatus itself, those things are tilted against human beings. They're tilted against the regular, normal people in favor of big money and big interests. Plutocrats. This is corruption. You may completely disagree with my politics, or you may completely disagree with how far to the left I am and all this other stuff. Whatever. The one thing that I would hope that we can agree on is a certain degree of integrity in the way we go about our politics. Meaning corruption shouldn't be a part of the process. If the FBI is going to open this case, or if the FBI is looking into this case, the FBI should look at WikiLeaks. And they should look at some of the situations that seem extraordinarily weird. And this idea of, thank you for the cash, now here are your favors. I understand they make the case that this is hard to prove, but when you look at this, what does a rational, normal human being, does this pass the sniff test of not having something to do with some level of corruption in the way that she's interacting with these states and the way these guys are giving her money and the determinations that were made in the State Department? Even if you say, even if you're mentally skeptical of what I'm saying, and you say, look, all of those things look extraordinarily bad. I give you that it looks bad. But that is a different level of quid pro quo. But fair enough. I think that position is insane. I think any normal person looking at this would say some of these look extraordinarily bad, even if you don't think all of them. Some of these look extraordinarily bad, and some of these looks as if she was getting money and she was doing favors. Even if you love Hillary Clinton to death, at the very least you could be honest and say that this looks bad. You can say that this is Russian propaganda, fair enough. At the end of the day, you still can't say that it's not true. Can't say that it's not true. These are her own emails. These are their emails. You can say it's not fair that they open their email account. You can say all sorts of stuff. But at the very least, the honest part of it is, okay, this looks immensely bad. It looks like she was monetizing the State Department. It looks like Bill Clinton was getting money. It looks like the State Department was getting, or the Clinton Foundation was getting money. And the people who were giving that money seem to have been expecting certain favors for that cash. When you delve into the emails, I bring up the one with Chelsea Clinton because that one is amazing. There's another one where the guy's talking about, these people are putting their money into us for reasons. Because these people are professional people and this is somewhat of an investment and all this other stuff. I'm going to try to find that very specific one. I definitely remember that one because it was so over the top of, we understand what we're doing here. You need to shut Chelsea Clinton up. I'm going to find that one, and I will put that one at the bottom of the box because it was fucking amazing. In fact, I think that was a Young Turks one where they uncovered that one. Yeah, I'll leave it at this. This went extraordinarily long. I hope I made my point. I brought up in the last video that I did on this that, yes, there was corruption going through the Clinton Foundation, but I didn't go into detail on what that corruption was. I wanted to show links. I wanted to show some of the stuff. I'm going to put this article at the bottom so you can see it. I've seen a lot of this before, even though I didn't have I didn't necessarily have my finger on it. Well, here it is. Here it is. So I will leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support through Patreon. Thanks guys.